Hey, Shalom. First off, I want to give all honors, all glory, and all praises to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem, Rakakwadash, double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone GMS, who are the ones that rule well, that taught us his word, wisdom, truth, and knowledge. Shalom to the elect of Israel, and to all you Akim edifying the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Pushing out these edifying lessons week in and week out. I pray that Yahweh Bashim Shai extends his full mercy upon you as we enter into these last days. But there's the brother Halal from the Great Millstone Chicago branch. And this lesson is going to be about basically how, us as prophets, as men of Yahweh Bashim Shai, our job is to give the people the raw and unfiltered truth. Our job is not to try to comfort people. Although the scriptures say, comfort ye one another with these words, we comfort each other with the scriptures. But as for the people of this world, when it comes to the prophecies, especially the prophecies that concern the downfall of Babylon the Great, the return of the Lord, the destruction of Esau, Edom, and these nations, we can't sugarcoat any scripture that we read, man. It's not our job to sugarcoat anything. Our job is to tell the truth, no matter what people think about it or no matter how emotional they get when they hear it. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 30, and verse 8, and it says, now go and write it before them in a table and note it in a book, that it may be for the time to come forever and ever. That this is a rebellious people, lying children that will not hear the law of Yahweh. And this is talking about our people. The majority of these Israelites out here in the world, in particular 2/3 of our people, they weren't given the spirit of faith. They weren't given the spirit of wisdom. Yahweh Bashim Shai is not dealing with them. Therefore, they don't want to hear the law of Yahweh. Verse 10, it says, which says to the seers, see not, and to the prophets, prophesy not unto us right things, speak unto us smooth things, and prophesy deceits. Right, so they tell the prophets, the men of Yahweh Bashim Shai, to not tell them the truth, because they want to hear comfortable lies rather than the unpleasant truth. And I just wanted to pull up this image, just to make a point. Let's see, unpleasant truth versus comfortable lies. And as you can see, you have two attractions. You have one guy under the sign which says unpleasant truth, and you have another person under the sign that says comfortable lies. And you see an entire line of people, that are lining up to receive what? Comfortable lies. And this picture is very symbolic to what we see going on in the world, especially us as prophets, when we tell the people these scriptures and when we tell them what the scriptures say. Not trying to give them comfortable lies, but giving them the unpleasant truth. And people would rather hear deceit being spoken onto them than to hear the actual truth, man. So let's go to the book of Isaiah, chapter 30, and verse 8 in the NLT. Verse 10, it says, in the NLT, Isaiah chapter 30 and verse 10, it says, they tell the seers, stop seeing visions. They tell the prophets, do not tell us what is right. Tell us nice things and tell us lies. So ultimately, they don't want to hear the truth, man. They only want to hear lies and comfortable lies. Like this picture right here demonstrates. Let's go to the book of Jeremiah, chapter 6, in verse. Matter of fact, let me start at verse 13. This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 6, and verse 13. It says, for from the least of them, even unto the greatest, for of them every one is given to covetousness. And from the prophet even unto the priest, every one dealeth falsely. And this is going into the false prophets that were leading Israel astray back during the time of Jeremiah. The false prophets that were saying peace when there was no peace. Verse 14, it says, they have healed also the hurt of the daughter of my people, saying peace, peace, when there is no peace. And that's the thing. You have these anti-Christians, And you got these other camps out here trying to say that there's going to be nothing but peace, when there is none, man. They try to say that Jacob's trouble isn't going to happen. They deny the prophecies of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. And there was another thing I want to pull up. This from AI Overview on Google. And it says, the King James Version of the Bible contains multiple passages condemning false prophets who proclaim peace, peace when there is no peace. Specifically, these passages found in Jeremiah and Ezekiel warn against leaders who offer deceptive promises of security during times of impending judgment or crisis. So ultimately, these false prophets that are trying to give people the message that they want to hear, all they're doing is giving deceptive promises in a time of what? Impending doom or crisis. And then when you go further down, I went further down and took another screenshot, and it says context and significance. It says these passages highlight the dangers of false prophets who offer deceptive comfort and assurances when real danger looms. They warn against leaders who prioritize self-interest or political expediency over truth and justice. The phrase peace, peace when there is no peace underscores the hypocrisy of these false prophets, who are offering a false sense of security when the reality is imminent destruction. And that's what these false prophets do. They give you a false reality. So we prophesy according to the times that we're in, man. In the time frame that we're in is not a time frame of sunshine and rainbows. We are in the last days. And the scripture said that in the last days, perilous times will come. Let's go to the book of Jeremiah, chapter 28. 28 and verse 8. And it says, the prophets that have been before me and before thee of old prophesied both against many countries and against great kingdoms of war and of evil and of pestilence. So every prophet, in the society that they were in, especially when they were taken under the captivity of the heathen, they always prophesied against the economies that they were in. A prime example of that is the book of Daniel. When Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, had the dream, and Daniel, being the man of the Lord, he gave Nebuchadnezzar the full interpretation and told him that he represented the head of gold on the statue, and that the Medo-Persian Empire, which would arise and take over the kingdom of the Babylonians, man. So ultimately, all the prophets, in the captivities that they were in, they always spoke against the oppression and the wickedness and the debauchery that they saw. And in verse 9, it says, the prophet which prophesied of peace, when the word of the prophet shall come to pass, then shall the prophet be known that the Lord hath truly sent him. Then the NLT, it says, so a prophet who predicts peace must show he is right. Only when his predictions come true can we know that he is really from the Lord. And all of our predictions, the men of Yahweh Shema Shai, the men of Great Millstone, those that teach the likewise doctrine, all of our predictions, man, the words from these scriptures are all coming to pass, which confirms that we are indeed maybe those men. Lord will, Yahweh Ratazah, we continue in this faith and the traditions that we have learned, not the traditions of men, but the traditions, Salaki, of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. So I'm going to end this off with the book of Isaiah, chapter 58, and verse 1. And it says, cry aloud and spare not. Lift up thy voice like a trumpet and shew my people their transgression, in the house of Jacob their sins. And that's ultimately our job and our occupation, to cry aloud and shew our people their transgressions, no matter how they feel, no matter how emotional they get, with this Western mindset that our people have and that they've been conditioned into. So I hope this lesson was edifying. With that, I only give all honor, glory, and praises to Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai, by Hashem Kakodash, double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone GMS. Shalom, and until the next lesson, and a Bible ball.